Hello, Jim here. I've been trading options for a number of years in a very passive way. I'm still working, so I don't have much time to be on the market. Today, I want to talk about how I do that and how I can earn about 400 a day. I set goals both daily, monthly, and weekly, and once I reach those goals, I kind of move on. I don't continue to trade. So today, I'm going to share with you how I do that, my strategy. I'm also going to share a couple of my recent trades at the end of the video, so be sure to stay till the end. Thanks for joining me. Okay, let's go ahead and jump right in. Now, I've created an outline to identify the key points to trading passively, how I trade passively. Probably the most important point is I try to limit my market engagement. And you might ask, well, how do I do that? I try to stay focused and then avoid overtrading. I do this in two ways. One, I'm only on the market at certain times. I typically don't get on the market till 10 a.m. And I'll typically, if I have to be on it for an extended period of time, I'll typically get off around 11:30 and be off it until about 1:30. And the reason for that is a lot of the hedge funds and a lot of the big brokers will take lunch breaks, and there is definitely a slowdown in the market during lunchtime. Then around 1:30, I'll get back on and potentially look to see has anything changed from the morning. Are there potentially some good opportunities that weren't there? And then I typically then get off at 3:30. I don't stay till 4 o'clock. I might if I'm having to maybe run some limit orders, meaning I'm trying to get a trade filled, and I might lower the limit order a number of times. That's the only instance that that's occurred. Now, I do at times have limit orders that will exist when I get off, and sometimes I don't find out till the next day that limit order actually went through and it was filled. And sometimes I share that late in the day with my memberships, or I share it the next morning that a limit order did go through, and share the details. Because a lot of times you can continue to make the similar or same trade the next day. Now, the next important ingredient is identifying some goals. I like to set daily goals, but I also like weekly and monthly. I typically try to get 200 per trade. I typically do 2 contracts. So this is like 400 daily. If I can get 2 trades and make 400, and it can be a new trade, it could be rolling a trade. In some cases, it may be a combination of both. Maybe I'll roll a trade or two and then I'll have a new trade. Or at times I might do a major roll and I make a lot of money, rolling a position up and out for a call or down into a lower strike for a put, that I make enough that maybe I only do that amount of trades. But once I get to my 400 or close to 400 on a daily, for a particular day, then I'll typically not make additional trades. I don't want to keep pushing it and making more and more trades, at least for me, because again, I'm currently still working, and so I do have work that I need to do for clients. I'm also helping my son start a new business, so that keeps me fairly engaged most of the day. And then on a weekly basis, I'm trying to make a 1750 on a weekly basis and around 7,000 on a monthly. And you'll see all of that in my spreadsheet. I'm going to actually show you what it kind of looks like the first couple of days of August and some of my better trades in the beginning of August. So I'll share with you what that looks like. So what that allows me to do is if I reach a weekly goal and I'm, say it's Wednesday or Thursday, and I've got a busy work day on Thursday, I might not worry so much about making more trades on Thursdays. I typically do my videos on Thursdays. Plus, sometimes I have a lot of client calls, and Thursdays just seem to be very busy days for me. I won't necessarily worry about making a trade. A lot of Thursdays I don't make trades. And then sometimes maybe I'll do 2 or 3 trades in one day, and then the rest of the week, maybe 1 trade each day. Or some days like this past week, I closed a lot of positions with the market going up so high. I closed a number of different positions because they were so profitable. And I'm probably going to do more of that this week, depending on what happens. And then, again, capping those trades after reaching those targets, it kind of protects me and my profits. It also allows me to, keep disciplined, ensuring I don't, fall into a trap of over trading. Can you overtrade? I think you can, especially with rolling. I call it rolling mania. And sometimes if you're, and it's even happened with me, a lot of the times I will throw a lot of different trades into my trading page, meaning I'll right click on the position and try to roll it. And I might see quite a bit of profit in there. And I'm very tempted to go ahead and run that trade at that time. And sometimes I'm a little bit too aggressive with that. Maybe I should wait a couple more days, maybe earnings. I'm not taking into consideration earnings. So it keeps me from, taking too much risk or over trading. Another thing is accepting zero trade days. Like I said before, there are many days, or not many, there's usually 3 or 4 days a month that I typically won't do any trading. And also, same thing with holidays. Like in July, we had the 4th of July. We have Labor Day coming up here a week from Monday. So, and, sometimes your best trades may not be the ones that produce premium. They may be the trades where you actually close positions and you set yourself up well for maybe a market downturn or a market correction where you can potentially pick up some really good positions at really good prices, or some great opportunities to buy some really good companies, on a bargain basis. So, and that's been one of my big mistakes over the years is I've missed the opportunity to own some great stocks at great prices, again, because I got into rolling mania. I rolled right out of a great opportunity. Now, the next key thing for me with keeping it very passive is using this planning worksheet. And that'll be in the next part of this video where I'll go through my planning worksheet that I'm using for August. I'll go through a few of the trades and kind of give you a basic idea of what it looks like. If you're curious about my memberships, they're growing. You can find details in the description. I have 3 different levels. They're very affordable. They're month to month, so it's not a major commitment. The Investor Club, which is the lowest level, you can actually try for a week. You get my trades, you get my worksheets. And for the Investor Club, when you move up to the Traders Club, you also get access to I have meetings every other week where we get together on Zoom and I have a number of members and we discuss things. We may talk about different types of trades. We may talk about tools. We may talk about futures, a lot of different things. And then the highest level is what I call my coaching club. And it includes 2 sessions with me each month. They're supposed to be 15 minutes, but they typically go to 30 minutes. Now, I will be probably increasing my prices down the road, not significantly. And I'll probably, other than my coaching club, which is the highest level and it's too inexpensive. I set the price way too low. I'm going to increase that one. But then after that increase, I'm probably going to do maybe every 6 months or once a year, I'm going to do an increase. But I am going to grandfather in the existing users or members at that time. So anyone coming in after that fact will pay a higher price. So just something to consider. Again, in my description, you can find details about the memberships. And as always, please subscribe, hit like. It does help the algorithm. It causes YouTube to send out more information or to, push my videos out a bit more. So, I would greatly appreciate it if you would do that. So my planning worksheet, again, it's become a great way for me to monitor my trades. It allows me to keep a clear overview of my positions, really ensuring that I stay on track with my strategy and risk management plan. Again, I'm not doing it to get rich, but I do like the extra income, and it does open up a lot of opportunities. I've been financially independent a long time. I'm again helping my son start a business. He doesn't want to go to college, so I'm helping him with getting started in his own business in lieu of going to college. So, and it's given me the opportunity to do that and potentially cash flow, helping him get started. And then, the next big piece is monitoring market conditions, keeping track of what the broader market is doing, and plus any economic indicators. Every day we have different economic indicators. So having a really good awareness helps me make more informed decisions. And then also I share that with my memberships. I talk about what might be happening like right now, we had such a good end of the week last week that I believe a lot of people are again on a high. It's almost like a momentum high. Now I can turn around on a moment's notice. I've stressed to them just earlier this morning that I would not be surprised if we headed down now, if we got a bit of a correction, especially before the Fed cuts rates coming up, I believe, September 18th. So just something to keep in mind. And then emphasizing safety and consistency. So I keep trading. I may have a bad trade or two, but I continue to do more and more trades. And that consistency has really helped me. And then I take steps. I review the trades I make. I'll do vertical put credit spreads to provide more protection on the downside. We are at really high levels in the market. So when we do get a correction, and what we had a couple of weeks ago was like a mild correction. I'm talking like a 15, 20%, kind of like what we got in 2022. I think it may be coming, it may be around the corner. I could be completely wrong, but I do believe the employment numbers that they mentioned, or the government mentioned last week, of being, I think it was over 800,000 underreported. So I think unemployment's a lot higher. Companies left and right are announcing layoffs. I do think we're going to potentially have some sort of a recession. Is it going to be a soft landing or a very mild recession? That's what I'm hoping for. So I like to keep my membership kind of aware of that, and then also to emphasize safety. Don't make crazy trades. Take your time when the market goes up like it has recently. Close any positions that you can, even if you have to pay a little bit more. And then next is leveraging technology for efficiency. I use various trading tools. I like Seeking Alpha. You can find details about the trading tools, again, in the description. I use Seeking Alpha. I use Barchart. I've even purchased a membership to ChatGPT that I use quite a bit too. It helps me with researching different companies. It also helps me in a number of different ways. I also use it with my programming work. I found I don't need to, go to some of the like Upwork and some of the other places, or Fiverr, mainly because ChatGPT does such a good job. If I share some code that I'm having issues with, it can usually tell me what's wrong and do it very quickly in a very organized format. So, and then regular review and adaptation. So I regularly review my trading performance. Last week, the last trade, or the last video I did on Thursday was my monthly performance. And then the meeting I had a week ago from today, we also talked about, strategy, what's worked, what's not worked, what companies or what stocks have gone against us and why did they go against us? Could we have predicted that maybe, this company was a problem? One example is Intel. Intel's just been hammered recently. So to me, it's continuous improvement. And I can only do so much since I'm still working, but there's other types of trades I want to take, or I want to look at other strategies, and I probably will in the future. And I do try to bridge out a little bit, but not overwhelming. If it works, keep using that strategy. Be careful with new strategies. I also talk about, I do have some members who are doing really well with zero DTE, and I have other members that see them doing so well. And my advice to them left and right and to you is to do paper trading. Try it first, where you're not going to be hammered, because again, if you're doing something like zero DTE, you have to manage the position. You can't really let it expire or hope it's going to expire, or or ignore it for a week, or even a day. You have to actively manage it. And that's also true with small accounts. You also have to actively manage them, mainly because you don't have the funds in your account to own a lot of these stocks. So you have to close out of the position if it goes against you. So, and I also changed my goals. I increased, I think, my monthly goal to 8,000. I lowered it back to 7,000. Now recently, last month in July, I did 9,000, over 9,000. And in this month, I've had 2 assignments, and actually I just recently had the 3rd assignment, which was 3M. It was assigned away from me. So this month's going to be a little bit lower. So I may readjust back up to 8,000, especially when I have more time and trade more. At some point, the client work that I am doing will end. We're released a new product and we're just doing bug fixing right now to improve on the product and to help compete against DocuSign primarily. It's a very similar tool to DocuSign. So that's what I wanted to kind of share with you guys. These are the key criteria. I'm next going to jump into my August planning worksheet so you can see firsthand what it really looks like. So stay tuned. Let's jump into that next section. Now I've opened up my August planning worksheet. This is what I shared with my community this morning. I use one planning worksheet each month. So this will be the one for all of August. Then next month I'll have one for September. The one I shared in the previous video last Thursday was for July. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail with this. I have at the top, I have my goals. I have my weekly and monthly, and then how I'm doing. Now, I probably should have changed this to August so you can see it's kind of work in progress. So I brought in 69, 63, but I do have some assignment losses, Airbnb and UPS, and I currently calculate those by the current price of the stock. So and then my net premium is $5,522. So if you look at just premium before any assignment loss, I'm pretty close to my goal already. So in this next week, my hope is to maybe get this pretty close to 7,000. So maybe do about another 1,000 to 1,500. So because of those losses, and again, they're based on the current prices of Airbnb and UPS. Those are the two stocks that got assigned to me in August. So now I'll just go through a day or two. So Qualcomm on 8/1 was the only trade I did. This green means it was a new trade. It was a vertical put credit spread with a short of 150 and a long of 140. It was an 18 delta and expiring on 9/20/24. And I brought in 297. The required capital was 1702. It's just 2,000. So the $10 spread times 2 times 100 minus the 297.28. And then this is just adjusted for the year. So it's this divided by this adjusted for the year. And that's how I typically do them all. Now, if I'd done this just as a cash secured put, I could have brought in over 500 is what my note. And I do like to add little notes like that too. So that's all I did on the first. Now, why did I only do one trade? It could have been work-wise that, I'm not going to, make a client wait. If a client needs my help, I typically will put my trading on hold. And sometimes, it may mean I will not get to trade the rest of that day. But again, sometimes the fear of missing out can impact people, but there's always opportunities, it seems, week in, week out, there's things you can do in the market. There's trades you can make. You can be profitable tomorrow just like today. You don't necessarily have to do all the trading today. The next day, 8/2, I did Twillo. I rolled it. Gray relates to rolling. And then I did another new trade, which was Amazon, and it also was a vertical credit spread, 150, 140. It's interesting. Same values as Qualcomm, which is unusual. Qualcomm actually came down quite a bit, but an 1849 delta. And what usually happens is I prefer to do a 15 delta, but in this case, a lot of times it might be 11 or 12 delta. So it's as close as I can get to a 15 delta. So if it's an 18 delta, I'll pick 18. And then I'm buying the put for protection. Again, you can do it as a cash secured put and bring in a lot more cash as long as you're, if you end up owning it at 150, you just really have to be happy with that price. So with these other two, with the roll, I brought in 186. With Twillo, this is one contract, 522 is what I've made since I've been rolling it. So if it got assigned to me, it'd be like owning it at around 57, $5 minus, 62.50 minus $5. And the return is a lot lower again because of required capital, which is 62.50, 6,250 minus this 186.62, which is like a yearly return of 15%. So again, with cash secured puts, you'll have a much lower yearly return. And then for Amazon, 239, 1760 was required capital. Again, 2,000 minus the 239.28. and it's like 101 return. So I did both of those on the second, and then I also rolled some Coca-Cola, and I rolled it from 12/20/24. I believe 6 months out. I forgot to put the date here, but I believe it was 6 months out. But I brought in another 446. I put 12,000 as required capital, so that's $60 per share. I think this was two, or was this four? This was four. So it's like $30 per contract. So, and you might say, well, that's really low, Jim. Shouldn't it be closer to 65 or 70? Well, I've owned these a long time. I actually got them when I was a teenager. So the cost basis is crazy low. But I like to put something in there that's a little bit more meaningful. If I put, $10 per contract, then it would, this percent would be crazy. I like to keep it not at a crazy low capital required, but something that gives you a meaningful return. So it's like 3%, which is like we're doubling your dividend. So I did 297.28 the first day. Then the second day I did 872, and you can see the sum down here on the right. So at that point I had done, let's look at the total. I had done over almost 1,200, 1,169. So I had already come really, I've done more than half of what my weekly goal is. So then the next day rolled around, which was the 5th, and that's when I had an assignment. So how do I track my assignments? I will show what the value is of the stock at the time, and I'll show you that in a minute. So it was assigned to me over the weekend. I ended up owning it on Monday. I picked up the shares at 140 minus, actually these were early assigned too. So I did sell the 130s and picked up some nice premium. So my cost basis, and I had actually rolled them too earlier in the month. So I had loaded it from 135 to 120, which this is Airbnb. So it was kind of surprising to see it get assigned because I had literally just rolled it a couple days before. So my cost basis was fairly low because I had picked up $748. And then in this roll, I picked up 134. And then in the calculations, what I did is I took the current price, which is 117.70 times 200, minus the value of the sold puts. And then I did the calculation over here based on what I originally paid, which was the 135 times 200, which is the 27,000, minus this value, minus T13, which is, the total value that I had collected already in premium. So, and that came to about an $1,100 loss. Now, again, that's based on 117. This loss would probably disappear if it went up to, 125, because again, 200 shares, that would be $8 more. Yeah, that would give you, you add 1,600 to this, so I would actually have a profit. So I'd get a profit around, if it went up $6, so if it went from 117 to about 123, which could happen. So, and then that occurred on the 5th. Then I had two other trades. I rolled Mara, and Mara's worked out really well, thin spread. I talked about this in a video 2 weeks ago, or a week ago Sunday, that you can do this in a small account. The only difference is you don't want to, if you don't have enough cash, because I did 4 contracts with this. So I originally did the trade on 4-1. I rolled it on 8-5. Again, it's a vertical put credit spread 17-13. So for each contract, you need $400. But if it get assigned to you, it would be 17 times 100 times 4. So you would need that kind of capital. It's was going to expire in 8/16. I rolled it out to 10/28, kept the same strikes, and I brought in literally $1,184 so far trading Mara. And then with this trade, I brought in 249. So for this one trade, it was about a 90% return. So, and then was that the last trade? No, I also did Met. I closed the Met trade. So this, I get a lot of questions. Are you including when you close? And here you can see I paid $21.10. If I can close something, I will. And this month, or the last 2 weeks, I've closed quite a few. Or the last week, I've closed quite a few positions because the stocks went up so high. So in those 3 days, I brought in 1532. But of course, this is a new week. I believe the first was middle of the week, like the first couple of days. I'd have to look back at the calendar, but that's what it looks like. And you can see I keep track of everything, and and I always have in mind where I stand. So for this month, I would like to get this to probably 7,000, so I reach the 7,000 monthly. So I may try to do a little bit more this month, but I know I did so well last month, so I don't necessarily have to do that, and I don't want to put my accounts at risk. So this is what I wanted to show you guys, and again, I keep track of this. I share this with my community. They will delete a lot, will delete my trades, use the spreadsheet. I have favorites, stocks I update this every week. I've got trade rankings where I talk about some of the trades that went against me, some of the ones that went well, why they went against me, why they went well. I also talk about my checklist, my guidelines, my goals, my dividends, and so on and so on. So the spreadsheet's got quite a bit. So people, if they're tracking their own trades, they'll delete mine and they'll put theirs in here, which is perfectly fine. So if you have any questions or comments, I typically try to answer them within 24 to 48 hours. Let me know what you think. Let me know how you track your trades. How do you keep this passive, where you can continue to work, that you're not on the market all the time? So I would love to hear from you. So again, thanks for joining me and spending the time watching the video. Look forward to seeing you next time.